Hello everyone. This is the pre-market report video for today, April 1st in the Indian stock market in terms of Nifty and Bank Nifty. We know last Friday both Indian market and US market was on holiday. So we need to understand what happened on Thursday night as well as some important things happened on Friday night. First, on Thursday, before the US market opening, final US Q4 GDP data was released. The number came as 3.4%, which was higher than expected, but less compared to Q3. I mean, that's okay, since in the GDP macro, nobody compares the quarters sequentially as different months got different demands. Rather, they always compare with the expectation. Now, this better than expected value was positive. However, at that time on Thursday night, US market was nervous about PC inflation data for February month and the Fed chairman speech and banking conference both were scheduled on Friday. Thus, on Thursday night, US market closed more or less around flat. Dow Jones up by 0.12%, S&P 500 also up marginal 0.11% and Nasdaq was down by 0.12%, whereas VIX moved from below 13 to above 13. So that's about the Thursday. Then on Friday, as usual, US Department of Commerce released the various PC inflation data such as core PC inflation, whole PC inflation, month-on-month basis and year-on-year basis. As we know and we discussed multiple times, PCE inflation data is the inflation gauge used for taking the interest rate decision. So this data is always more important than the consumer inflation. Regarding the data, 3 metrics came in line with the expectation and 1 comes below. For example, year-on-year basis, PC inflation from 2.4% in January month, it increased to 2.5% in February. Here, I know it increased, but it's in line with the expectation. And also the actual core inflation dropped from 2.9% in January to 2.8%. Combining both this data, what story it is telling is, core inflation is reducing, but the volatile food and fuel increased. So overall the data was positive. And the second positive was month-on-month data. I mean, for February month, it came as 0.3% against expectation of 0.4%. So food and fuel also reducing in the future, which is not that important, but still it's an added positive. That's it about the PC inflation data. Now moving to Fed chairman speech on banking conference. He did his usual tactics. Like if market is positive, then he will say hawkish, and if market is in bearish trend, then he will speak very dovish. At present, every US market trading day, S&P 500 is scaling the new all-time high value, so he spoke hawkishly. Like he was confident on bringing down the inflation back to below 2%, but before deciding on interest rate cut, he needs to see more month low inflation number, and also he's not in a hurry to perform rate cut kind of. So basically, PC inflation macro data came as positive, but Fed chairman speech looks like reduced the positivity. Still, overall, the global momentum is leaning towards positive. In line with that, at present, US future market is trading around 0.5% positive. Then, regarding oil, Russia, Saudi Arabia and other OPEC plus countries released the statement individually that they are committed for the combined production cut quota 2.2 million barrels per day. In addition, this week OPEC plus meeting is scheduled to discuss about the supply concerns in line with its ongoing geopolitical risk. So because of those reasons, oil price increased over 2%. I mean, Brent crude closed at $87 per barrel and WTI crude closed at around $83 per barrel. Generally, this oil price increase is negative for India, but as long as it trades below $90 per barrel, then it's okay. But after that, every $10 increase approximately increases the current account deficit by 0.3%. So let's hope that oil price to stabilize. About Indian ADR in US, it too closed positive, but it just in line with the Indian market, no fresh movement. And if you see the 1 month arbitrage, which we usually do, Infosys and Wipro is very much flat, whereas in banks, HDFC Bank was 0.5% positive and ICICI Bank was around 0.5% negative. So overall, ADR indicating the mixed trade in banks, and for IT, it didn't say any, it just followed the Thursday Indian market. About Gift Nifty, on Saturday morning it closed at 22,524. Here, this value is for April month expiry, which we got at least 19 more trading sessions. So, if we consider 120 points as premium, then roughly it's kind of indicating 40 to 80 points gap up opening. So, this is what happened in dollar related global market. And now let's move to the India specific new information. First, about HDFC Bank. There are two things that can potentially affect its stock price movement. I mean, in their SEC filing, HDFC Bank mentioned that they decided to sell their 100% stake in HDFC education business. Honestly, I have no idea that HDFC Bank do have some sort of education business, and also I have no idea what it's worth and what its future growth potential, etc. Either way, market will be on focus for that. And more inclined on the positive side, HDFC Bank increased the home loan base rate from 8.55% to 8.7%. I mean, always banks increasing their interest rate is considered as positive as long as it's competitive. Then second, moving to Infosys, they made an announcement that they set to receive a tax refund of around 6,330 crore rupees from Indian government. I mean, they do have some net tax liability, but still as a net, they set to receive above 4,000 crore rupees. I consider this as positive, but let's see how market is reacting to it. Third, ICRA rating released the report about non-ferrous metals like copper and aluminum, etc. that in the next financial year, its demand looking very stable and the increase of 10%. In addition, they also mentioned that the operating margin also is very much healthy around 17 to 17.5%. Overall, the report was very much positive for the sector. Finally, Adani Total Gas started their 600 tons per day feedstock biogas production in their new facility in Uttar Pradesh. As a summary, 2024 Indian financial year was over on last Friday, so we can expect some new funds incoming to specific stocks this week. In addition, global momentum is good and US future market is trading around 0.5% positive. Indian ADR and Gift Nifty all indicating the gap up opening of between 40 to 80 points. Also, yesterday, all the China related PMI data, including manufacturing, was released and all came as above 50, meaning all started to expand after 6 months. So today we can expect the Chinese market to trade positive, which in turn will influence positive on our metal stocks as well. Moving on, yesterday as per stock open interest, Persistent Systems, JK Cement, Chambal Fertilizer, SAIL and Deepak Nitrite got an increase in open interest along with a negative close, indicates the short build-up. On the other hand, Piramal Enterprise, About India, Torrent Pharma, RBL Bank and ICICI Lombard General Insurance got an increase in open interest along with a positive price close, indicating the long build-up. About the things to look out, today most of the European market will be on holiday due to Easter Monday, so there is not anything important that I can think is scheduled to release during our market time. However, in the night, various US related PMI data is scheduled to release, which we need to keep a tab on it. One more thing, last Thursday for the third day in a row, FII was net buyers. They net bought for around 190 crore rupees, whereas DIA net bought for mega 2690 crore rupees. Coming to technical, Nifty opened 40 points gap up and also it's the day's low. Then it increased to an intraday high over 22,500, but the final hour profit booking made it to close around 22,300. Thus, on the daily chart, Nifty formed a bullish candlestick pattern with upper shadow. I mean, on the daily chart, we can observe two things. One, Nifty has rallied significantly, surpassing the 22,500 mark after maintaining momentum beyond 22,100. Two, there is a clear breakout in consolidation. And in addition, on the weekly chart, Nifty formed a long bullish candlestick pattern with higher high, higher low formation, all indicating the rising optimism. Here, Nifty encountered some resistance near its previous swing high of 22,526. So consequently, to sustain a continued rally, it must surpass the 22,525 level decisively. On the downside, 22,200 will act as the short-term support. Then in case of Bank Nifty, it finally climbed above 47,000 mark after 4 days of consolidation. In addition, Bank Nifty got back above the downward sloping resistance trend line, which earlier acted as a support in previous swing highs, and further it now trading above all key moving averages, which all are positive. Thus, finally, Bank Nifty closed at around 47,100, and on the daily chart, similar to Nifty, Bank Nifty also formed a bullish candlestick pattern with upper shadow. Despite this, it faced resistance around the 47,500 mark. Hence, a decisive breach above this resistance could propel Bank Nifty towards 48,000 level. On the contrary, the immediate support is at 47,000 to 46,800 zone. A conclusive drop below this support level, especially on a closing basis, might indicate a false breakout scenario. On the monthly options front, the maximum call option open interest was at 22,300 strike, followed by 22,600 and 22,500, with meaningful new call option writing at 22,300 strike, then 22,700 and 22,600. Whereas on the put side, the maximum open interest was at 22,300 strike, followed by 22,000 and 22,400, with new put option writing at 22,300, then 22,400 strike. Thus, from the options data, 22,300 is expected to be crucial for Nifty's further direction, with hurdle on the higher side between 22,500 to 22,600 level and support at 22,000 mark. So that's all in this video. Hope you all got some useful information. Please consider subscribing to the channel and liking the video, so it will help me beat the YouTube algorithm and also motivate me to do more. Please don't make any investment decision based on this, as I am not a SEBI registered advisor. I am doing this for my and viewers' educational purpose only. Thanks for watching.